Humans have dreamed of breathing underwater for a long time. No tank strapped to your back, no heavy equipment to haul, and no training courses to get through first. Just the open ocean and the ability to stay down as long as you want. That dream has a way of short-circuiting people's better judgment. And in the spring of 2016, thousands of people found that out the hard way. His name is Jaebyun Yeon, and he is a design school graduate from South Korea. In early 2014, he presents his graduation project to the world. The concept is simple enough to describe, but wild enough to go viral almost on contact. He calls it artificial gills for humans. The device is beautiful to look at. Two arm-like extensions reach out from a central mouthpiece shaped to mimic the gill structure of a fish. The whole thing is compact, minimal, and looks like something straight out of a science fiction film with a serious budget behind it. Yeon describes his motivation without much drama. He wants to give everyone the ability to enjoy the ocean without expensive gear and without demanding training. No certifications and no tank required. Just bite down and breathe. I have to say, as a piece of design, it is really something. It looks credible and real, like something that actually should exist. Now, the concept catches fire online almost instantly. Tech blogs pick it up and design communities go wild. Social media fills with people tagging their friends, sharing it with captions like "This is what the future looks like." You have to understand the cultural moment here. Crowdfunding is at the height of its influence. People believe the next world-changing product can come from a single person with a sharp vision and a good pitch. Yeon's concept fits that story perfectly. The dream of breathing underwater has lived in science fiction for decades, and here it is, presented as a real graduation project from a real design school. The images spread to millions of people before anyone stops to ask how it works. I mean, it is 2014 and a design student has just claimed to solve one of the oldest human wishes. Of course, people go wild, so the design sits quietly for about 2 years, picking up press along the way. Then in March of 2016, a crowdfunding campaign goes live. The product has a name now, and it is called Triton. The campaign describes the device in very specific, very confident terms. The gill-like arms draw dissolved oxygen from the surrounding water through tiny filtration membranes built into each arm. A microcompressor then pressurizes that extracted oxygen and routes it through the mouthpiece. The battery powering the whole thing is described as 30 times smaller than conventional batteries, but charging 1,000 times faster. You can use it for up to 45 minutes at a depth of about 15 feet, with no tank and no certification required. The price point sits somewhere between $150 and nearly $300. For context, a standard scuba certification course alone can run several $100s, and a full beginner setup with equipment costs thousands. Well, the campaign goal is just $50,000. Within 6 days, it raises close to $700,000. That is nearly 15 times the original target. By the time everything falls apart, the total reaches close to $900,000, backed by thousands of contributors from around the world. The campaign becomes a news story all on its own. Triton is no longer just a product. It is a cultural moment. But the real reason Triton gets so far is the story it tells. It speaks directly to anyone who has gone snorkeling and hated the limits of holding their breath. It speaks to anyone who finds scuba gear too expensive or too complicated. It promises the most accessible version of ocean experience ever described, wrapped in a product that looks completely real. The pitch is not aimed at hardcore divers, but at everyone else. And that turns out to be a very large audience. You think about how many people have gone snorkeling on vacation and wish they could stay down just a little longer. How many kids have tried to breathe through a snorkel below the surface? How many casual swimmers dream of lighter gear? Triton speaks to all of them at once. So the press runs with it. Major tech publications post breathless coverage. Diving fans make videos about the trips they're already planning. Parents talk about buying one for the whole family. The device gets compared to gear from famous science fiction franchises. People picture themselves swimming along a reef with nothing between them and the water. You can see why this specific moment in crowdfunding history produces so many impossible products. When desire runs ahead of skepticism, the campaign page does the rest. I look at that original campaign video today and I can see exactly why it worked. The promotional video is smooth and confident. Everything about the presentation signals that this is a serious product from a serious team. You could be forgiven for taking it completely at face value. Now the company absorbs all the attention while staying completely silent on the critical questions starting to pop up in smaller corners of the internet. No technical specifications are released and no third-party testing results are published. The team behind Triton has no engineers anywhere on it. The founder is a talented designer, but a designer with no background in engineering, material science, or marine biology. None of that seems to register publicly. The funding total keeps climbing, and the press coverage keeps arriving, and the two things feed each other in a way that feels almost unstoppable. I have to be honest, from a purely strategic standpoint, the silence works. I think about how this would look from the outside, and it makes complete sense. A beautiful product, a passionate founder story, and a mounting pile of cash. What is there to doubt? I want to be fair to the people who backed this. The campaign was well produced, the concept was beautiful, and the excitement was completely understandable. If you had come across this in your feed in March of 2016, there is a real chance you would have found it at least somewhat convincing. The numbers were big, the press was excited, and the product looked like the future. That combination is hard to argue with in the moment, but in quieter corners of the internet, a very different conversation is already happening. Scientists and engineers are running the actual numbers, and the numbers do not cooperate at all. Well, water does contain oxygen, and fish extract it all the time. But the concentration of dissolved oxygen in seawater is extremely low. A marine biologist who studies ocean creatures runs the calculations and arrives at something alarming. To extract enough oxygen for a resting adult human, the device would need to process roughly 190 liters of water every single minute. For a swimmer who is actually moving around, that number climbs to 500 liters per minute or higher. Fish can do this because they are cold-blooded. Their gills have enormous surface area relative to their body size, and water constantly flows over them as they swim. Humans are none of those things. The device is about the size of a large set of headphones, but the filtration surface area required to process that volume of water would need to be measured in square meters, not centimeters. You would need something closer to the size of a car engine to make the physics actually work. The gap between what Triton describes and what the physics actually requires is not a small engineering challenge, but a fundamental impossibility. So even if the membranes could somehow be made large enough, the pumps required to force that much water through the system would need battery power far beyond anything Triton describes. And that brings us back to the battery claim. Now 30 times smaller, but charging 1,000 times faster. That does not correspond to any battery technology that exists anywhere in the world, not in 2016 and not today. Engineers on technical forums flag this claim almost immediately. One expert points out that the required water flow rates alone would need hardware larger than the entire device as advertised. The more closely people look at the numbers, the less any of it holds together. So the skepticism moves outward from technical forums into the wider conversation. Diving communities post detailed warnings to their members. Science blogs publish careful, methodical takedowns of the claims. A few media outlets that had initially praised the campaign start publishing more skeptical pieces. Critics point out that nobody on the Triton team has any engineering credentials. There are no verified working prototypes, no safety data, and no third-party testing of any kind. Just the campaign page and the funding total and the confidence. Well, for weeks, Triton says nothing publicly about any of this. The campaign just keeps going. The money keeps arriving, but the pressure keeps building. But then comes April 1st, 2016, April Fool's Day, and what Triton announces that day is not a joke. In the days leading up to it, the pressure has been building fast. Journalists are contacting Triton directly asking for proof. The platform hosting the campaign is fielding questions about the impossible claims. The CEO goes on record to say the device is not a hoax and promises a video showing it in action. That video never arrives. Triton simply goes quiet. No response to the press, no response to the platform, nothing. Then the campaign is suspended. Close to $900,000 is refunded to all backers. and in a statement, the company admits that the device does not extract oxygen from water at all. The real mechanism, they say, relies on small canisters of liquid oxygen stored inside the arms of the device. They also post a 12-minute pool video alongside the statement, apparently to show the device working. The company claims this was always the plan and that they had simply been protecting their technology from competitors. But here's where it gets strange. In their own statement, the words liquid oxygen sit inside quotation marks. Their own explanation of the product comes with built-in uncertainty baked right into it. And the original impossible filtration claims are quietly left on the campaign page, completely unchanged. I cannot overstate how badly this admission lands. Liquid oxygen is stored at nearly 300 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Contact with skin causes instant tissue damage. Breathing it directly causes severe damage to the lungs. And the volume of liquid oxygen needed for a full 45 minutes of breathing would be significantly larger than the entire advertised device. A comment that circulates widely at the time describes the updated product as strapping a miniature explosive to your face. Scientists note that this new explanation is arguably more dangerous than the original claim, which was already physically impossible. Now the response is immediate and total. Online communities that had been picking the campaign apart in real time feel completely vindicated. Prominent voices in the diving world call out the relaunch immediately, warning anyone reading not to put a single dollar into it. Backers who had been excited feel outright deceived. Publications that had praised the campaign quietly update their articles. The entire project collapses within days. But here's the part of this story that still gets me. A few days after the refunds go out, Triton relaunches a second campaign on the same platform, this time with the liquid oxygen explanation stated up front. And even after everything that just happened, that second campaign raises over $240,000. People want the dream to exist so badly that they fund it a second time. I still find that part kinda staggering. You might be wondering what comes after that. Nothing comes after that. The second campaign eventually goes quiet. No shipping dates are ever announced. No devices are delivered. The website goes offline and social media accounts stop posting. The founder removes any mention of Triton from his professional profile entirely. And I think that silence tells you everything you need to know about what was really going on. As of today, not one single Triton device has ever reached a paying customer. The whole thing simply vanishes. Well, the crowdfunding platform that hosted the campaign releases a statement saying it worked with the campaign owner to issue full refunds after reviewing community concerns. Critics argue the platform should have flagged the scientific problems far earlier, long before close to $1 million had changed hands. So the official website is dark, the accounts are abandoned. No legal action ever produced any meaningful consequences. The original campaign page still sits online as a permanent record of what happened. In diving communities, the name Triton comes up whenever a suspicious new underwater gadget appears. It has become shorthand for a very specific kind of product promise. The kind that sounds incredible for a reason. Well, the actual science says that a practical device doing what Triton promised would be larger and heavier than the scuba equipment it was meant to replace. It would cost far more to build than anything Triton was selling it for. The laws of physics do not bend for a polished campaign video. For now, tanks are still the only way down. And speaking about down, let me know your thoughts about this product in the comments down below. Click subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.